Okay, so we've looked at this simpler meal to eat, and then I'll basically rotate that with the next meal, which is about 2 hours or so after, because bearing in mind we're trying to get in 6 to 7 meals in a day. And then what I'll do is I'll have one of my prep meals. So the next meal today for me is this shredded beef, which is really bloody fantastically tasty, very easy to digest because Healthy Living Kitchen have already shredded the beef, so it's easy to break down, and it's mixed with vegetables. That's my go-to favourite meal of the company, so try that one. Only 230 calories. Not that calories are a matter at this point, but I will mix that meal with rice, and I'd like to use sushi rice or jasmine rice because they just taste that little bit nicer, and they're fluffier and stickier and kind of easier to eat. And I'll mix that with the rice meal, and that's about 350 grams of rice, which is cooked weight. And that's, if you want to work out what that is raw, it's about 3 times the raw weight. So it's about 110, 115 grams of raw rice. And I will then add to that about 5 or 6 rice cakes. So these are my go-to here that I use. I like this Kalo brand. Plain ones here, or slightly salted. And then they've now got a blueberry flavour one out. If you haven't tried them, check them out. Very nice. And again, I'll put my favourite jam. A spoonful of jam or 2 on top of that. Now with that meal, I'll also add 5 grams of olive oil. And that's just to really help the carbohydrates stick. Because fats do tend to slow the digestion down, as I mentioned earlier, and will help the carbohydrates stick. Now all of them meals are salted heavily, and I'll have a mixture of regular sea salt or Himalayan pink salt and low salt because it's higher in potassium, and I haven't even spread that across the day. For me, I use somewhere between 6 to 8 grams. Whatever you decide to use through the prep, I would advise keeping that amount of salt constant throughout all of your prep. And if you do have to manipulate sodium or salt towards the end or the final days, then you know what you're playing around with because you've been constant throughout. If you haven't tried manipulating salt and sodium, I wouldn't suggest doing it on your own, and I would go to an experienced coach because it can really flatten your muscle. Just remember at home, salt isn't the enemy. A lot of people are scared of salt. I know I was when I started dieting, thinking salt will make you hold water. Now carbohydrates need water to pull them into the cell, but they also need sodium to do that. So if you're taking a diet in with all the carbs in the world, but no salt, and you're not taking enough adequate water with the carbohydrates, you won't load the muscle. And that's where people go wrong. And what I find is a lot of new sort of competitors will come to me or mention in the gym to me, perhaps after a show, where they've had, a big cheat meal with all the fluid and salt and sodium that's involved in like pizzas and burgers and chips and etc., whatever they go to eat. And they go, 2 days after the competition, I look massive, I look fantastic, swollen, rock hard, solid. I wish I'd have looked this on show day. But it didn't look like that. And it wasn't really the cheat meal. It was the amount of fluid and sodium that they'd pulled in with that meal that made the diet they'd been eating come to life. So don't be afraid of that. But if, again, you don't know what you're doing, don't undo all your hard work in the last couple of days by getting it all wrong. Do reach out to someone that does know what they're doing, has been there, done it 100 times before, has experienced themselves and with clients. And that way you won't undo all your hard work trying something crazy out at the end because you saw it on Instagram. Okay, until next time, hopefully you'll see me again after the competition with a big smile on my face, maybe a trophy, maybe a bit of pocket money, that would be nice. Until then, happy Saturday.